Good afternoon. So it is Video Sunday. Today I wanted to come in and do a video on depression. I haven't done a video on depression since I started my YouTube channel, but I specifically want to talk about some seasonal depression today. As we begin with our holiday season, we have Halloween, we have Thanksgiving, Christmas, and then New Year's all kind of coming back to back with each other. So we definitely want to pay more attention to our seasonal depression, especially around the time of Thanksgiving and Christmas, because during those times of the year, that's when we have a lot of family gatherings. So I pay attention to a lot of my clients who have experienced significant death or loss during this time of year, or even my clients who have a diagnosis of mild or moderate depression. I kind of pay attention a lot to them during this time, making sure that they have their preventatives, their coping mechanisms, also those distraction techniques, and they're pouring more into themselves during this time of the year, because if you don't have family, if you don't have friends, and you can experience a lot of loneliness, and then in addition to those that loneliness, we have those symptoms associated with depression, kind of feeling worthlessness, helplessness, hopelessness, increased amount of sleep during this time, isolation. Also, if you have experienced that significant death or loss, you're becoming fixated on that person that you have lost, and trying to figure out how to come to a sense of normalcy with that person not being in your life anymore. How do I move on? Last Thanksgiving, my loved one was here, and now they're no longer here. One thing that I would definitely encourage you to do during this time, if you are dealing with grief and loss during the holiday season, try to do something to commemorate that person that you have lost. The biggest mistake that we can do when we've lost a loved one is to forget them. And I know it's easier to forget as opposed to going through those memories of good times, or even the bad memories. I know it's easier to just to block it out of your mind as opposed to allowing yourself to go there. Throughout a process of grief, you definitely have to allow yourself to be able to feel and have those emotions, and not become severely depressed because of you miss that person. Depression is incorporated in one of those stages of grief. So we definitely want to make sure that you're not isolating during this time of the year. Try to come up with some type of new family tradition to remember that person. So that's the grief and loss part that I wanted to touch on briefly. Now, just in regards to the seasonal depression. So if you have noticed that you have a very difficult time during this time of year coping, if you don't want to be around other people, if you tend to, isolate during Thanksgiving, if you're a college student or something like that, try to find activities or things that's going to pour more into yourself as opposed to distancing yourself from other people. My number one go-to is journaling. So definitely getting a journal, whether it's a guided journal or it's a blank journal, to explore those thoughts and feelings that may be unwanted, or maybe some things that you can't necessarily deal with or you don't want to deal with right now. Journaling those as a way to distract yourself to be able to move forward. So I teach a technique in DBT therapy called it STEPS, and with the STEPS, there's techniques that go to each one of those letters in that word that I tend to teach my clients. And one of those is distract when you're distracting yourself. So it's kind of like putting yourself in a different place, and also thinking about problems that you may have had in the past, and seeing if this problem is worse than what you've had in the past. So distracting those feelings, or maybe helping other people, is a way for you to be able to cope with depression during this time. We do know that depression is lifelong. I encourage all of my clients to not fall victim to your diagnosis. Just because you have a diagnosis of depression, don't live it. So definitely come up with those coping skills to be able to help you to navigate throughout life. Have those distraction techniques, have those supportive people, those supportive places, or those supportive things that you can do to get yourself through this period of time. You are not your diagnosis. So that's one thing that you have to remember. Differentiating between symptoms and behaviors is also important. Take some time to do some things for you. One thing that I do teach is how to fall in love with ourselves when we are depressed. So that means dating ourselves. That means having business meetings with ourselves so that we can be able to be everything we need to be for somebody else within our lives. So I just wanted to leave you guys with this brief message. I haven't posted a video in a while. I hope this helped. I want you all to remember, let's have a mentally healthy day. Take care.